And now some news with AI voices.
Welcome to the deep dive. We've got a really interesting mix for you today. Lots of different news, some science, some culture,
Mm.
some just plain weird stuff, actually.
Yeah, quite the collection. We've basically sifted through a bunch of recent happenings to pull out the most thought-provoking bits.
The idea is to give you a quick way to get the essence of these things, maybe see some connections you wouldn't expect.
Exactly. So we'll be touching on things like, different takes on autism research, AI getting kind of spooky in court.
Right, and actual alchemy led into gold.
That too. Plus, the Pope on AI, some TV show drama, podcasts getting Golden Globes.
And then our usual roundup of geeky news and weird happenings.
Should be fun.
Okay, let's jump in. First up, this ongoing conversation around autism research. We mentioned RFK Jr.'s approach.
Right. He's reportedly doubling down on trying to find the cause of autism.
Which, sounds straightforward, but it's actually sparked a lot of debate.
It really has. Because there's a very strong counterargument, particularly from many experts and autistic advocates themselves.
Which says what?
Well, basically, that autism isn't necessarily a disease that needs fixing or a cause to be eliminated. It's seen more as a neurotype.
A neurotype, like just a different kind of brain wiring.
Exactly. Neurodiversity.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that it's a natural variation. So from that perspective, searching only for a cause can actually be harmful.
How so?
Because it can take focus and funding away from things like, understanding, acceptance, providing better support for autistic people to thrive as autistic people.
Ah, okay. So you have these two really different goals, almost. One, trying to find something to potentially change or prevent.
And the other saying, let's understand and accommodate this difference.
And that shapes everything, right? Research, language.
Absolutely. How we talk about it, how society approaches inclusion.
Yeah.
It all stems from that fundamental perspective. It's a big one.
Okay, wow. Shifting from the brain to, well, digital ghosts, almost. This next story is about a deepfake.
Yeah, this was pretty startling. Using a deepfake of a deceased man to deliver an impact statement in court.
Whoa. Okay, that's a lot to unpack.
It is.
Right.
I mean, you can see a potential upside, maybe, giving a voice back to someone who can't speak for themselves, perhaps offering closure for a family.
I guess.
Right.
But my first thought goes straight to the ethics. Who controls that? Who decides what the deepfake says?
Exactly. The potential for manipulation, for misrepresentation,
Yeah.
it's huge. And what are the legal precedents? There aren't really any yet.
And where does it stop? It feels like a slippery slope.
It really does, especially as this AI tech gets better and better. It forces us to ask some really profound questions about identity, consent after death, and the nature of truth itself in the digital age.
Heavy stuff. All right, let's lighten it up slightly, maybe. With alchemy, did scientists really turn lead into gold?
A slight chuckle in the voice. Sort of,
Yeah.
yes. At the Large Hadron Collider, they actually did it. It wasn't magic, though.
Okay, how? In simple terms, if possible.
Basically, they smashed lead ions together at, incredible speeds. Really, really fast.
Okay.
And that massive impact knocked some protons out of the lead atoms. And since the number of protons defines what an element is,
If you change the number of protons.
you change the element, knock out the right number from lead, and voila, you get gold atoms. It's called transmutation.
Wow. So the alchemists weren't totally crazy, just lacked a particle accelerator.
Pretty much. But before you start investing in lead futures,
Yeah, I was going to ask, is this practical?
not even remotely. The amount of gold they made was minuscule, like a few atoms. And the energy needed to do it costs vastly, vastly more than the gold is worth.
Ah, okay. So it's more of a proof of concept, a physics demonstration.
Exactly. It shows we understand and can manipulate matter at that fundamental level. Historically cool, scientifically interesting, but economically not happening.
Still pretty amazing, though. Okay, next up. The Pope is planning to address artificial intelligence.
Yes, the new pope has indicated AI is something he intends to speak on, which is quite significant. What do you say?
Definitely. It shows how pervasive AI has become, that it's on the Vatican's agenda. What do you think the concerns might be?
Well, you can imagine a few things. Ethics, obviously. Responsible development. AI and warfare, maybe. Impact on jobs. Human dignity.
The big question.
The really big ones. Maybe even philosophical stuff about consciousness,
Yeah.
what it means to be human when machines get smarter.
It's fascinating to see religious institutions grappling with this cutting-edge tech.
It is, and it highlights that this isn't just a tech issue, right? It's a human issue, requiring input from ethicists, philosophers, religious leaders, everyone.
True. Okay, let's switch to the entertainment world. Some drama involving Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yeah, the director of that cult horror comedy, Eli Craig, he's apparently blaming David Zaslav, the head of Warner Bros. Discovery, for canning a planned TV spinoff.
Oh, really? So
Huh.
what's the story there?
Well, the director's view seems to be that the cancellation was down to, corporate decisions overriding creative vision. Maybe cost cutting, maybe a change in strategy at the studio.
The classic creator versus executive clash.
Seems like it. It's a peek behind the curtain, isn't it? How these decisions get made, even for projects that have a dedicated fan base.
Yeah, it's tough when business gets in the way of something people are excited about.
It is.
Yeah.
And it speaks to that tension in Hollywood, taking creative risks versus playing it safe financially.
Right. Now, something relevant to us and maybe to you listening, the Golden Globes are adding a podcast category.
Yes. Big news for the podcast world. Starting in 2026, there'll be a Best Podcast Award.
That feels like, well, proper recognition, finally.
Absolutely. It puts podcasts right up there alongside film and TV in terms of mainstream cultural acknowledgement by a major awards body.
It says a lot about how much podcasting has grown, how influential it's become as a medium for, stories, information, everything.
Definitely. It'll be interesting to see what kind of shows get nominated, what criteria they use.
Yeah, could bring even more visibility, maybe more resources into podcasting, too. Good news all around, I think.
Agreed.
Okay, ready for the geeky stuff?
Let's do it. What's keep this week?
First up, Ben Affleck. He gave a kind of vague answer about maybe playing Batman again.
Yeah, sort of a never say never, but also like don't hold your breath kind of answer. With DC's plans constantly shifting, who knows?
Right. Uncertainty seems to be the main constant there, but Marvel seems more certain. They've revealed the Phase 6 main villain.
They have. Setting the stage for the next big arc after Kang. Lots of fan theories already, I bet.
Oh, for sure. And going back in time, people are apparently still confused or debating Janos as disguise in Ghostbusters the Second.
Slight laugh. Really? Nanny disguise.
It's funny how little details like that stick with people and become like fan traditions to discuss.
It is kind of charming. And speaking of lore deep dives, there's confirmation that Yoda was actually wrong about Luke's vision in Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, apparently so. It adds a layer, doesn't it? Even the wisest masters aren't infallible. The Force works in mysterious ways, I guess.
Or plot twists needed explaining later. Okay, this one's fun. People who grew up watching Tom and Jerry supposedly share 7 specific personality traits.
Huh. Like what, I wonder? A high tolerance for cartoon violence. Resilience. It's interesting how formative early viewing can be.
It is. And finally, for the geek section, Star Wars. There are just so many Star Wars projects coming. Movies, series.
It's a deluge, isn't it? Trying to hit every possible fan demographic, I suppose. The galaxy's getting crowded.
Indeed. Okay, time for our final segment, the one we call.
That's some weird shit.
And first prize for weirdness might go to this. A fan won $5,000 from Nintendo related to a canceled Jim Carrey movie. How does that even connect?
I know, right? It involves some old contest, a movie that never happened. It's just a perfect storm of obscure pop culture trivia paying off. Amazing.
Truly bizarre. Less amazing, maybe just desperate. 2 different drivers in Washington caught using dummies in the carpool lane.
Slight chuckle. Oh, dear. Not the most convincing dummies, I take it. You gotta admire the attempt, sort of. Or just shake your head.
Shake your head, I think. Then there's the influencers. The ones taking selfies while their Lamborghini yacht sank.
Ah, yes. That story went viral. The juxtaposition was just stark. Glamour shots versus sinking vessel. The internet mockery was pretty intense.
Yeah, maybe read the room or the water level. And lastly, someone returned library books 20 years late.
20 years. Wow. Hope they waive the fines. That's some serious procrastination. But hey, they brought him back eventually. Better late than never, I guess.
I suppose so. Well, that really was a diverse tour, wasn't it? From deep thoughts on neurodiversity to sinking yachts and overdue books.
It really covers the spectrum. And it just shows, the world is full of fascinating, complex, and sometimes just plain strange things happening all the time.
It definitely keeps things interesting. So that deep fake story, the impact statement, it sticks with me.
Yep.
It makes you think. As this AI gets more powerful, where is that line? How do we use this technology to, say, honor someone's memory without crossing into manipulation or creating something that feels wrong?
That's the question, isn't it? What are the rules? What are the long-term effects on how we remember people, how we grieve even?
Yeah, definitely something to ponder. Food for thought. Anyway, thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.